Welcome to the Digital Digest, your weekly breakfast of insights, tips and tricks, and general information that will help anyone trying to move things forward in this digital world of accounting. I'm joined by Stu McEwen from FreeAgent today as we dive into CIS for subcontractors or contractors, I believe, for FreeAgent, which has been one of their new releases and probably the prominent story of our recent newsletter. Stu, look, tell us or break it down for us. What is this new functionality that's come into FreeAgent?
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. So what we've introduced is full bookkeeping and preparation support around CIS for contractors. So to go into the details, if you're a contractor, you can now set yourself up as one in FreeAgent. You can add all your subcontractors as contacts and enter all their details, subcontractor verification number, and all these lovely things. From there, you then categorize all your CIS costs. So we've added a new nominals into the chart of accounts to capture those, and then you can add them to your supplier bills for your subbies. So we will take those bills, you add those CIS categories, we calculate the deductions, and from there they feed into a lovely new shiny CIS 300 return, and you can track all of that in one place. Send all your payment and deduction statements, post your liabilities to the chart of account and reconcile the payments and all those things. So really from a full-on bookkeeping perspective, you can do everything you want in FreeAgent from a contractor perspective, which built upon our subcontractor offering before.
Brilliant. So just to clarify a few things to me then, which you may have touched on and I may have just kind of misunderstood. So because you're putting your contacts in there, can you do the verification process through FreeAgent at this stage?
You can't do it through FreeAgent at the moment. From the two main bits that we're still to kind of improve on or to take to the fully round support are that verification with HMRC. And the feedback's been really good on this so far, Ryan, in that the vast majority of practices we've spoken to that are now using it are just as happy to take the fields and go into HMRCs and kind of click the buttons there. So that's not possible via FreeAgent. And the other element is the sending of the CIS 300. That's definitely on our roadmap. But what we've heard from practice has been really, really positive in that the vast majority of them are using another tool to submit this anyway, and it's not always the bookkeeping tool that they'll file it through, so a payroll bureau, for example. And so we offer a one-click export to take that and file it through HMRC or through another software if you need.
Oh, cool. And I assume, similarly, I assume the sending of the statements to the subcontractors is probably not something that's in the system as yet, because that's usually a bit more advanced.
So that is in the system. So we have supported
nice.
the full payment and deduction statements, and you can send them to your subcontractors through FreeAgent. So we built that. That seemed like, from all the research we did and everyone we spoke to, something that they would definitely want to do from the bookkeeping side rather than go away and do that somewhere else. So that's something we added in this release.
Oh, nice, cool. So I guess obviously you've got a large number of clients on FreeAgent. What proportion, and this may be information you don't even have, but what proportion of them were doing something with CIS and therefore were affected by this in a positive way?
Yeah, many thousands. I don't know as a percentage actually, but what we were seeing from the subcontractor side is a really natural churn of we have really robust support for subbies, and we have for quite a long time. And then the natural thing within the trade industry is if you're a subcontractor under CIS, you inevitably become a contractor. It's just like the rite of kind of passage. And FreeAgent, we had some subcontractor support, but it wasn't really that robust, and so there'd be a natural drop off or a natural churn. And now raising that ceiling of the the contractor side has hopefully going to see us like increase that number massively, but tens of thousands, because of the natural Venn diagram crossover between what FreeAgent offers as a value and what trades need from a bookkeeping perspective.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, right? As the business grows, and as FreeAgent have evolved over time, you want to retain that client, because now you're in that small business space, not the micro side, and so you need that functionality. It makes sense to build this out. And considering, I guess, like MTD around the corner and the amount of compliance that needs to be done regarding quarterly submissions, it makes sense to make sure you're covered in this area. So you've got really good, robust landlord offering now. Now you cover the construction industry as well. Are you kind of rounding off all of the MTD requirements in all of your current releases?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good way of framing it. We've felt for a long time that FreeAgent is, and I'm very biased, the perfect solution for your MTD clients. But when we now support more and more income streams as you need within income tax, there are those verticals that we haven't absolutely nailed yet, and that trades. As a vertical is a really obvious one for us to go to next. I don't believe there are many others that you think if I've got this kind of client and they fit this vertical, FreeAgent's not suitable if they're that kind of MTD sized client. But there are a couple of areas that we want to improve on to make sure we have a complete, robust offering for every type of client in that kind of like SME and below space.
And is that, can you touch on what those areas are? Or is that stuff you're keeping under wraps for now?
No, I'm quite an open book with this stuff. I think the one area that we can definitely improve on, and I don't think it's just FreeAgent. I think it's maybe a bit wider in the industry. It's more of the goods trading side. I think you've touched on the kind of podcast recently about improvements in stock management and inventory, and really that real-time information around handling goods and trading goods, and that's something that I don't think many of the accounting softwares in the UK have absolutely nailed yet. And a lot of them are going to fall under MTD as well. So I think we've got some plans in that area to make sure that whether you're service-based or you're goods-based, you can use FreeAgent as seamlessly as anyone.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think if we go back to the olden days of desktop-based systems, they really nailed that inventory flow, and it feels like an area that, from a cloud finance system perspective, it's just been ignored for a long time. And I know that you've kind of got all these add-on partners that can cover it, but you really want some basic functionality, or I say basic, slightly more advanced functionality in the core system. So yeah, I'll be intrigued to see that come out. So we talked about, I guess, what it is, and touched on a little bit of why it's important. Is there anything else, I guess, we've not spoken about of why you picked to work on this functionality and design it in this way for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we spoke to practices, and we must have spoken to hundreds around how to build this, we spent so long making sure that it's right. A lot of what we heard was that, yeah, as an industry, the trade industry and everyone caught under CIS, the bookkeeping is difficult, and their legibility of bookkeeping is much lower than it requires. So we've built it in a way where it's really flexible if your clients make mistakes. And that's one thing that we kept hearing, that if our clients uploaded a bill or an invoice and it's wrong, they've got the wrong deduction rate or something like that, don't make it a pain for me as their agent to change this. So we did it. We built it in a very flexible way so that can be done, which has already got some really good feedback around that area. But in terms of why CIS as well, it's not just MTD. FreeAgent was built for the end user, and our first 15, 16 years was about building it for the small business owner. That was my background as well before joining the company. And in the last couple of years, we've pivoted towards building things for accountants and really trying to grow in that space. And when looking across our offering compared to the market, there are pockets where we just had big holes. And one of them is around CIS support. That was a very common reason to not use us if you have any clients that are construction industry. So that was a real driver behind doing this project and a lot of the other releases we've done in the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, that all makes sense. So I guess talk us a bit through how, because you say it's really flexible, how do people engage with this element? Because you said you've got dedicated nominal accounts. Is it as simple as you enter a bill, you enter a sales invoice, and then you just allocate it to the right nominal, and the rest is done?
Pretty much that, Ryan. So when you go into your settings, you turn this on, and then everything is kind of turned on for you in the background. So you can't see any of it unless you opt into it. And so we're not trying to confuse any workflows. We try and keep things very streamlined. And then when you opt in and say, I'm a contractor, then we add these new nominals to your chart of accounts. We don't kind of under the hood, you go to raise your bill, and then we promote these as the things that you should be adding. So CIS for labor, CIS for materials, etc. You add them. We do all the reconciliation in the background. We do your offset if you're a subcontractor and a contractor and filing payroll through FreeAgent. That's all done for you, and we give you a really detailed breakdown as to why we've reached the amount for that month that's included on your CIS 300. So it's very, very light touch. And again, that's what we heard is the right thing to do. I don't think anyone wants CIS to be really manual when trying to work this stuff out. And the way that the world is going, MTD and all this stuff, it really needs to be automated and as slick as possible.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and it's an area that I know from my olden days of doing kind of bookkeeping for contracted businesses. That yeah, CIS was an absolute pain. So anything that automates and calculates that for me, I'm massively on board with. But let's pivot slightly here, because the other big announcement today was that FreeAgent have been on the nominated on the shortlist for the Digital Disruptor Awards for Marketing of the Year. It'd be good, you didn't know about this, Stu, until this morning when I put it on LinkedIn. So it'd be good to get some initial kind of thoughts and feedback on that. What is it like to be, I guess, put on the shortlist, a potential award winner?
Absolutely delighted, Ryan. Cannot understate how much we enjoy these internally. We are big, very strong culture around internal communication, and the amount of celebration already is fantastic, even to be nominated. So thank you very much for that to yourself and the team of people nominating. I think from our perspective, we've spent a lot of time and spent a lot of thought into the way we've marketed things over the last 12 and 18 months. There's definitely been a pivot into more bold and more grabbing people by the ears, by the horns, as it were, to say that we are really good, we believe in ourselves a lot, and trying to grab that attention. So it's great to be recognized.
Definitely, and being the science nerd that I am, we had your team on before when you launched a computer up into space and filed the first MTD return from off this planet, essentially. And so that was one of the big, I guess, marketing schemes that coincided, I believe, with Digital Accountancy Show, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
But you've also had other things that you've done throughout the year. Could you talk through a couple of the others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just on the space, the reason behind it, Ryan, was we are so well prepared for MTD, for income tax. I think we were the first to have a few through the filing through the beta and things, that cheesy as it were, we really wanted to show the world that we were ready, and that was a nice way of showing the world, like literally showing that we could do it from space. But I think outside of that, touching on what I was saying about being bolder, we at Accountex North last year, we hired a couple of vans with some big billboards, left them outside the venue to showcase our kind of new pricing campaigns. That our pricing is simple, it's really easy to use, just like our software, and that went down really well in the industry of just cutting through the noise and keeping it really really clean on pricing and really obvious, which isn't always the case in the accounting software industry. And we went out into kind of other public spaces with this kind of campaign as well. And our general marketing towards accountants and our clients has been around the confidence that we have in our software and our team and our community, that we are the well-rounded solution for what you need. And I think that's been that's been well received in that the confidence that we have.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the whole thing is that you become a little edgy. You become you're not scared to put forward why you think you're different and why you are good. And I don't know how you'd see this, but how I kind of compare you to is how Audi were on Twitter for so long. They just poke little things at their competitors in a funny way, right? Not to annoy them, just to create a bit of banter. And I feel that you do something similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same internally, Ryan. Like, there was never any words at FreeAgent of real vitriol towards anyone else in our industry. It is always about the respect there, but also being able to have a bit of fun with it. And it works in both ways. And to be honest, from all of our marketing campaigns and everyone involved in that, we admire it just as much when it comes in the other direction. I think it's all about everybody doing it together and having that space. So that's definitely an angle that we really like to take.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see what your version of Cuthbert the Caterpillar is going to be. That's going to be amazing when that comes out.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that wasn't announced and the judges are still in deliberation about is release of the year. That is something that as we kind of went through, and I say I chaired but had no say in the conversation with the judges. It was an area that was quite challenging. There was a lot of, I guess, different releases. Maybe some that maybe none like massively game changing, but quite consistent in many areas. And there's a lot that FreeAgent have done over the last year. So you've integrated with a lot of partners now. You're kind of app marketplaces, or however you refer to it, is much broader. But you've obviously released functionality, CIS, etc. Have you got any other big ones that you think are worth bringing to the fore that people may have missed?
Yeah, absolutely. It touches upon what I was saying before around our strategy pivot as a company, and it's strategy takes time to change, but really being accountant focused more than ever before. There's been a couple of releases we've had in the last 6 to 12 months that for us internally have been real game changers, and one of them is our management reports release. So for the first time, FreeAgent's been able to kind of consolidate all your reporting together, have a nice front cover, have an export and some settings, so you can run management reports for your clients. And that's value that our practices are absolutely loving, because it's not something you traditionally associate with your FreeAgent clients of the past 15, 16 years in terms of size, but you're now able to run in 5 minutes and charge however much you want for that kind of service with the advisory over the top. We've also released Find and Fix, which for us was maybe bringing us up to competition with some of our competitors there in that space. But internally for our customer base has again been a game changer. I know that's a jargony term, but being able to bulk change your VAT rate, your nominal code across the entire account in seconds has really lifted FreeAgent's floor of expectations for your clients up. So I think from what we've done so far in the last 6 months, those are the two for us that have been really, really big.
And so I think both of those are brilliant to pick in the conversation that we're having here. So does Find and Fix also work with the new CIS nominals?
It does, yeah. It works with all your nominal codes and VAT rates, and you can change contacts and then descriptions for your bank transactions or everything, and they can all be done across all areas of the account. And then it comes with an inbuilt audit trail and then an undo. So if you make mistakes, or if you give access to your client and they make mistakes, you can just reel it back really nicely. And yeah, rather than having to do that in individual areas, or when you're reconciling before year end or a VAT return, being able to do this in bulk, because we haven't quantified it in hours yet, but I'm sure it will be days and weeks and years for some of our practices.
Yeah, and I think that you said it was about being as flexible as possible when you were looking at the CIS side. So with Find and Fix in place, and this, there's no real excuse for making these adjustments and making them quickly for any of the accountants who are using your system.
Yeah.
And it's been something that we've been arguing, I guess, and been passionate about at Digital Disruptors, is that it's no longer a big three, in our opinion. It's a big four in the small business space, and you have kind of pushed yourselves into prominence. A lot of these features you're saying bring you up to parity is actually just kind of repositioning where you were as a product. So not in that tiny microspace, which we're now seeing other banks make acquisitions. So, Starling did this recently for an MTD space, but you kind of broadened now with the NatWest owned FreeAgent to go, okay, we can do a lot more. Yeah, we still handle micro, but we do a lot more. And is that your play? Is that been your strategic play over the last kind of couple of years?
Yeah, it's great. It's great that you spotted that. It's absolutely right, Ryan. We can't go out into the market and say FreeAgent's great for your multinationals and then not back it up with evidence or anything like that. So our play has certainly been to fill the gaps, as it were, in 2025 for the areas that people who are a large practice or like a national firm or large businesses are saying, I can't use you because of this. And there aren't many of those things, but CIS is one, management reports, Find and Fix. And that has been our strategy this year. We are seeing the fruits of it. That's the most important thing for us. Like, we are now being used as a portion of clients for a large amount of national firms in the UK. And as you'll know, like many of the firms have, it's not going to be everybody on FreeAgent, but it's not going to be everyone on any solution. There is what works best for the client. And we are getting more and more of that market share of just raising the ceiling of where you see that tipping point of, okay, they're too big for FreeAgent, now they need to go on to X, Y, or Z, is really being raised up and up and up. So we have these big releases. There are also some really small ones. I think if I could say my personal favorite, it's the bulk bank feed reconsent feature that seems to have gone down so well. And that's not a big strategic rock that took us 9 months to build and we had to reimagine what reporting looks like. It's really, we own our own open banking infrastructure, so we're able to just update your like that 90-day in bulk in one click. I think we're the only software that can do that because we don't have a third party doing our open banking. So from a personal note, that's the one that that's made me the happiest, because it was a little bit of unexpected joy in the market.
It did. I remember when that was released, and it just seemed to have a wave of euphoria going across LinkedIn as accountants seem to just go, "Why has this not been done before?" But you explained why it's not been done before, right? Because you own that tech, so you've got the flexibility to be able to do something a bit different. And I guess then, we talked about what's the here and now, with the CIS side and what you've been doing over the last year. But can you give us a bit of a teaser into what might be coming down the path? How do you, rather than just bring yourself up to parity, but how do you now differentiate yourselves a bit more in the small business space?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our hot topic, and I'm more than happy to share. So I think we've got a couple more of the big projects coming down the line that we're really excited to offer, and then we're going into the differentiation. I think the next one off the kind of roadmap that I think is going to be as big as the others is our version of tracking categories or tracking groups, so that however you run your business, cost centers, departments, locations, any of these terms, you can now use FreeAgent, because you can divide up your business in every single way. And we're seeing that as what a really hotly asked for request. I think from there, where we're looking to differentiate is what can we do with NatWest in the support that they can provide in the payment space, and what can we do with integrations within the product as well. So traditionally, FreeAgent hasn't really had a strategy around integrations until the last couple of years, and then we've done a load of effort in that space, which has been really fruitful. But we don't have many inside of our product yet. A lot of them are on the in accounts receivable space, but we're certainly looking to have more of that automation and end-to-end payments and all that inside of our product. So I think that's going to be a nice place for us to play and do something different with some of the big names in the market. Can't share that stuff, of course, for NDA, but that's a nice space. And then automation as well. Like, our goal is to automate compliance. I know when you had Chris from Sage on, he's talking about the kind of end of year process automation as a goal. I think for us, we have this very similar approach to say, what does an automated compliance journey look like? So someone can come in, click a button, and file a tax return. How close can we get to that with one click and automate the rest? So there's a lot of exciting projects in flight at the moment in that space.
Cool. So on the back end as well, you're diving into the realm of AI, as every single business seems to be doing, because there's different plays out there. Obviously, we had Chris on. They're very vocal about what they're doing with AI and what their long-term strategy is. We've got Intuit, similar in the way that they're very vocal. They've been talking about it a lot more from an American perspective, and now it's coming out to the UK. Xero have been quite quiet, although there's rumours we're going to hear big things before the end of the year. And I'd say FreeAgent have been quite quiet in that space. Yeah. So is it just your approach to this is more, we want to make sure something's got to a good standard before we're talking about it?
Two things. I think that's a very fair summary. That's how I've kind of seen the market as well, Ryan. From our perspective, we have had AI-driven tools since 2018. Like, we had automated bank reconciliation and smart capture of receipts. If we had launched them now, they probably would have an AI written all over them, but it's just not something that we are going to go back and do. But in terms of our approach as a company, we're very much waiting to see where the dust settles. I think 2-3 years ago, we saw like these big announcements of in-product tools that were going to change the world. And I think it's probably fair to say we're yet to see the thing that really grabs the industry and says, let's change our processes. And so we're kind of waiting to see how that develops. We don't have the size of an Intuit behind us developing. I don't know how many folks they have and the budgets they have and this kind of stuff. So we need to play our cards really deliberately as to what's going to make the biggest difference to our users. And there's definitely a growing opinion that a lot of these solutions, the thing that's going to win might be something in your browser. It might be something that Google develops. That doesn't matter what software you're in or page you're on, you're able to do a lot of the things that a dedicated Xero or QuickBooks kind of tool might do for you. So if that's the way that's going to win, we need to be very careful around how much we invest in that upfront versus being reactive. So that's the kind of approach we've taken.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's so much disruption in the space, though, but as you say, little tangible impact, and we need to see that. We need a big game changer somewhere that will kind of get us all on that bandwagon of we need to embrace AI rather than just dabble with it, which is kind of what we seem to be doing as a
Definitely.
as an industry at this point.
And I think we might, on that, Ryan, we might need,
okay.
there's maybe some more automation that needs to happen in the UK industry as well to help to help the AI out. I think like e-invoicing, for example, once that's in place, then the AI can probably have a lot more impact. I do see that a lot of the things that the kind of the AI is helping with at the moment might be not displaced, but really move, because the digitalization of the UK economy is then is changing quite quickly. I mean, let's say years, but then AI will have to change as well. So yeah, I think it has to be very adaptable and flexible to the moving kind of compliance in the UK as well.
Cool. Yeah, 100% agreed on that, Stu. And I'm kind of really want e-invoicing to be brought in more quickly than it is. Right? We dragged out MTD for so long in this country. Let's compress the e-invoicing rollout, and because I think businesses benefit from it. There's not much now that are on tech that they have to do because the technology providers will deliver on it. So I think unlike MTD, which is that huge burden for businesses, once they're on a tech solution, really, they just need to make sure they're on the right one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to use the last bit of this time here to get your opinion, right? Which is you've been nominated and on the shortlist for a Digital Disruptor Awards. What do you think people should do? Do you think people should attend it if they can? Do you think they should be watching it live? Is this something that people should even engage with? Because I know we've launched this, we're passionate about it. We think that it's different to what's already out in the market. But really good to get your take on it, Stu.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a really good like benchmark for this is if you have a look at the awards and who's nominated, the strength of person and software and development and marketing is so high that I think it's something that everyone should get involved with. We live streamed it from FreeAgent last year. It was a really nice watch for us all, and we will be doing absolutely the same. And those down in Manchester who can attend will absolutely be going. So I couldn't promote it enough. Even if we weren't nominated, I'd be saying exactly the same thing. I promise.
No, it's great to hear, Stu, and thank you. Hopefully it's going to be an amazing evening. It was a very fun evening last year, and yeah, with over 2,000 people that watched it live. I'm hoping that we destroy that number this year and get a lot more, because we should be, if we as accountants are always demanding more from our tech vendors, we should at least be supporting them in recognizing what's been done well, being that tech vendor, an advanced digital firm, or an individual that's making a big difference in the space.
Yeah.
Look, Stu, thank you so much for coming on, talking us through the CIS contractor side in FreeAgent, and also touching on the shortlist nomination for FreeAgent, the Digital Disruptor Awards.
No problem. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Ryan.
All right. So, and if you want to catch more of these going forward, learn more about tech and whatever we touch on in the newsletter, please do subscribe to the Digital Disruptor LinkedIn page. You'll be notified every time one of these is announced, which will be live every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Thanks again, and hopefully we'll catch you next week.
Cheers.